This is you right now at EIC. This is the last one that you have to get. You're right here.
The Power Stone?
You're right
here.
here.
Pointing at?
This is Jen's spot. That's going to be your spot next. What is up, everybody? We are back with the Student Media Podcast. This is episode 3 in season 2. I'm joined by Deacon Tuttle.
Yep. Good to be back with you all.
Obviously, I'm Evan Couch. Our guest today, he's a man that plays a wild sport. It's a sport where they don't wear one of these. They don't wear helmets. You know why? It's because they don't need to, because they know how to tackle. Joining us now, editor-in-chief of the Pulse podcast. Oh, sorry, Pulse magazine. I'm the editor-in-chief of Pulse podcast. This is Noah Wright. Noah, I got a question. Why you guys hold the ball like this? Huh? What's this all about? Oh, yeah, he plays rugby, by the way.
I mean, you'll see guys on the field that hold it like football players hold it the
3 points
point wise.
contact.
But so the reason that we hold the ball up and down instead of along our forearms is so when you pass in rugby, so rugby is a continuous sport. It's like soccer. Whereas in football, like quarterback throws to the wide receiver, he doesn't really throw a lot of laterals from the wide receiver. But in rugby, we're constantly passing. So if I tuck it in my forearm and then hold them to my chest,
yeah, okay. So
well,
that's
an extra
that's
second.
extra moves you got to do here.
Yeah, that's an extra second it's gonna take for me to get that ball off, and that's a 1 second faster than I'm about to get hit by somebody.
And when you get hit, you're not wearing one of these, so you got to make sure you know how to protect yourself correctly, right? That's why you guys don't wear the helmets, to learn how to properly tackle someone.
Yeah,
we don't need that.
I love it. Well, thanks for joining the podcast with us, Noah. It's great. I want to give a shout out to Evan here as well. He got your name right, and this is, it's not always a thing that he does on the show here. So,
well, I have to get your name right. It's literally right. I mean, what are we doing here? I just want to start off by saying congratulations. Let's get this moving along. Mm-hmm. Congratulations on EIC. That's a pretty big deal, considering you're EIC now, so you got a lot of stuff you have to run. You're in charge of a lot of stuff. You're in charge of the whole magazine, and I just want to know what's your first impressions of that. How's that been going?
It's been good. So this is probably my 9th quarter on the magazine. I started fall quarter my sophomore year, and it's fall quarter my senior year, my 5th year. But I've been part of the editor staff for 8 other quarters. So I kind of saw the EIC that I had. It was Spencer Clifton my sophomore year, and then Lexi Wicks after that. And I worked closely with them, and especially Lexi, I went from associate editor, and then I was copy editor, and now I'm EIC. And I saw what she did, so this isn't like a new experience for me, but I'd be lying if I said it isn't sort of. I didn't feel like I was jumping in the deep end without knowing how to swim at first.
Are you stressed out yet, or have you hit that wall, or is everything still too fresh?
I mean, there are some times where I have gotten stressed because I got to talk to. When I was just an editor, I was given like 2 or 3 people that I just had to talk to. Now it's like I got those same people. I got 2 people I got to talk to, but then I also have to talk to, make sure all the other writers are doing okay. Talk with the other editors, make sure they're okay with their writers. Then I gotta coordinate with the design editor, and then mention stuff to the designers. Talk with the photographer editor. Talk to the other photographers. And then I gotta talk to our faculty affiliate, Jen, Miss Green or Dr. Green.
Nah, we call her Jen.
She's call her Jen.
On this show,
we call her Jen. But yeah, there's a lot more stuff I have to do, but I wouldn't say that it has added any more stress because of how long I've been on the editing team. I've seen how Lexi handled things. I helped her handle things sometimes, and I think just getting to see her do everything and how she handled everything kind of set the way for me.
I'd like to point out some of your previous titles so far with Pulse and the staff. You worked your way up. You were writer, assistant editor, associate editor, copy editor, EIC. You basically played every single position on the team.
Yeah.
So congrats to that. That's a lot of working your way up the ladder to get to where you're at now. And if there's anyone who's ever been qualified, I think it's you.
Yeah.
100%.
There's only one spot. There's only one spot I haven't got. Jen better look out. I'm coming for that faculty position.
Oh my gosh, like Thanos, you're collecting everything out here.
I'm coming for that faculty position.
Yeah, that's
Jen
awesome.
Jen can be the head faculty. I'll be the associate faculty.
This is you right now at EIC. This is the last one that you have to get. You're right here.
The Power Stone.
You're right
Is that what
here.
you're pointing at?
This is Jen's spot.
Yeah.
That's going to be your spot next.
That's good. Well, that leads perfectly into our next question here, which would be, what advice would you like to give to yourself if you were to travel back in time before you did any student media? Or it could be a personal life one as well.
That's a tough one. I think one thing that I've noticed, and it's advice for me, but also advice for anyone else that is doing media writing or just writing in general, is be open to talking with whoever is above you and whoever you need to talk to. When I was first starting out, I would get those stories and I would kind of be like, oh, I could probably talk to my editor about this, but then I never would. And then I would get down to crunch time and I'd be like, I would be so stressed because when I was first starting, I had no experience doing magazine writing or news writing in general. So I was trying to write it like I would essay, narrative essay, argumentative essay, but magazine and newspaper writing isn't how you write an essay for your English 102 class.
Right.
Very true.
So then if I would have talked to my editors or I would have talked to someone that has more experience, I think it would have helped me put out better pieces earlier.
We've had that crossover. Me coming from the Observer side, I've seen people who very, very good writers, and they follow AP style, which is the journalistic writing style, very well. But the problem is they frame it like it's a magazine and not a news article. And it's like, that's great writing, but it's not what we need here. So it's kind of the inverse for you, right? It's like great writing, you got all the research, you got everything you need, but it's not magazine writing.
Yeah, I was Jen pointed out, and my editor at the time was Spencer. He pointed out I was so academic with my tone because I was writing like I would for a gen ed class that I didn't have that emotion that was needed to convey readers to want to read my stories.
Yeah. And it's because it's completely different writing, like magazine writing is kind of, it's like fluid, it's constantly moving, it's shifting, and you can feel emotions, you can feel, you go in and out of it. But with article writing, when you're in the news or you're reading, just a sports piece, it's completely different. Some would say it's boring. Some would say it's boring.
Cut and dry.
Magazine writing is where you kind of get to express yourself and get to express what it is you're putting into that story and how the story is actually framed. And I've never written for a magazine. You have. Obviously you have many times. So I mean, how would you explain it? That's my question, I guess. How would you explain magazine writing compared to regular writing if you had to really just break it down to one thing? Yeah, it's a tough question. I got him thinking. I've got him on his heels.
Man.
You said magazine to newspaper?
Just to regular writing in general. What separates magazine writing from the rest?
So regular writing, like you would for any English class, is a lot of research. You can put in your own opinions and sort of build off your opinions with facts. So it's sort of like making instant mashed potatoes. Like you put in the water, you put it in for a little bit, stir it up to make everything cohesive, and then eat it. Whereas magazine and newspaper writing is you're trying to incorporate emotion and flow without any of your personal opinion.
Yeah.
Because the second you add opinion, it's no longer quote unquote credible because now you're adding your own bias.
Yep.
So it's like it's following a recipe, but then you can sprinkle in hints of opinion without actually putting an opinion by adding dramatic word choices. So it's like that same instant mashed potato where it's a recipe, it's easy to follow, but then throwing in salt, pepper, paprika,
spicing it up,
spice things up and make it interesting. Yeah.
Would you say that there was a certain story that kind of clicked when the different writing styles just made sense, and then it was like, oh, now it's just super easy, it's just coming right off the top?
Yeah, so I wrote a story on the future of the travel industry, and it was very statistic based, but then one of my interviews completely switched from statistics to talking about emotions and talking about how there was going to be a big emotional shift for the flight industry. And I think that's when it clicked for me because I was like, well, I'm so used to writing just statistic based things. In English 102, I followed statistics. I followed rhetorical analysis of different articles. And I never really put emotion into any of my pieces when I was writing for English 102, 101, any rhetorics, any rhetorical classes. And then I was able to add emotions from what other people were saying that weren't my own emotions.
Yeah. That's like the perfect like bridge within the one story, and then after that it's like you just took off and were able to do it
Yeah.
every time after.
Yeah, and then being able to see what other people were writing when the magazine was published, I got to see other stories for other people, and I got to experience other people putting in their own emotions through the words of others.
Speaking of bridge, I mean, sometimes these things play out too perfectly. I got a little segment here, and I want to call this share your screen thoughts. So here we're gonna look at this. And this fun fact is actually your first story that you wrote for Pulse. Now, if I can figure out how to do this,
what that
Pretty
story would
perfect
be.
timing.
how about that? Take a look at that.
Oh,
Oh,
This is the one you
speak of
just
the
brought up, right?
devil.
that's weird.
Kind of walk us through it. Like, how did this story come about? What was the process of coming up with this idea? Because it's a really interesting story.
So I wrote this story sort of in the height of COVID when we were all trapped in our rooms, and we posed the question in class, well, how can we talk about travel? Because we always want to try to put a travel section into the magazine whenever we can. But it was COVID, so there wasn't really any way to travel. And I had known a guy on the team whose dad works for United Airlines. He's one of the sources I included. His name's Louis Smolanich. And I was talking with him about it. And he's like, "Hey, talk to my dad because I guess there's a lot of stuff going on that should be talked about because airlines are really struggling right now." And I don't know if you guys know, but the airline industry provides for the U.S. economy a lot.
Absolutely.
So because they were struggling, the U.S. economy was, as a result, struggling as well.
He's a man of statistics. He's a man of data as well, apparently. Okay, I want to point out you're on the move right now. You know, you're oh my gosh, what am I doing? What kind of production am I running here?
He's got it.
Take me back. Oh man, this is going great. I'm just pushing buttons. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. All right,
Now we can't see you.
ignore what I'm talking about right now.
How's your day going, Noah?
Yeah, pretty good. Had my classes. Going home. Gonna probably eat some food.
Where are you going right now? Where are you moving?
Oh, I just had to drop off the car to get it tuned up, get a little fix on it.
What's wrong with your car?
Oh, nothing much. Just need a little bit of tune up.
Nice.
All right, this is great. I don't know how to get back to what I'm trying to do here, so we might just have to run it kind of like this. Anyways, I would like to say, as you know, as a student athlete, you are always on the move, and you have been since you've come to Central. How are you balancing the work life of being a student athlete and also in a leadership role like this? What's your current position with the rugby team? Are you still on it? What's going on with that?
Yeah, so I'm still on the rugby team.
Awesome.
And I mean, it's a lot easier to balance than you would expect because rugby for athletics, it's such a rigid schedule that I know every day what I'm going to do when it comes to sports.
Oh, that's
so
good.
then I can plan doing stuff for the magazine around that. I can plan doing homework for the classes around that. And then it's just filling my time with that. Obviously, there's a little bit tough sometimes if I want to go hang out with people. Sometimes I can't find the time for that, but then I can always find time for that on weekends or on off days.
Yeah, that's good to have some rigidity. That's good. I think I have a hard time with time management because I like have a lot to do but not at the same time. So sometimes I figure out what's actually like when I'm supposed to prioritize. So I think I would probably prefer that too, but I'm not good enough to play.
I think it's extra tough too because I've spoken with people about it, and doing student media in general is already a handful, and it takes a lot of time off your hands in terms of the free time what little free time it feels like we get as college students sometimes. So whenever you have to do that, and then you have to add student athletics on top of it, I mean, I don't know, like, how do you do it? Just, you said you kind of plan out your day, but you found that rhythm. Obviously, you've been doing it for 4 years now. And I'm sure just kind of like anyone who's played sports, you've been doing it practically your whole life through high school, middle school as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's sad to say I'm a pretty boring person when it comes to doing free time stuff. So I honestly, any free time I usually get between working on the magazine, like after I get done with magazine stuff and I practice, I mostly just nap. So it's just whatever time I take napping, which is like, it's sad. I hate to admit it, but I usually nap for like a total like 3+ hours a day if I have enough time for it.
You need that.
I'll just I cut that nap time down like by half. So then I got an extra hour and a half to work on schoolwork and work for the magazine.
Oh, that's good. Well, you called yourself kind of a boring person, but we know that's not true. So what's an off-brand fact about yourself that no one would expect?
I played trumpet for 8 years. Played all through middle school. 7 years. I played trumpet 6th grade to 8th grade, freshman year, junior year in high school. Then I switched over, or freshman and sophomore year. Then junior year, I was on student government, and then senior year, I went back to playing the trumpet.
Oh wow, that government switch wasn't for you, was it? You
But
don't like
good little
holding
resume
office.
builder. Good little resume builder.
Yeah.
So what we found out is you have a better chance at trying out for Siwoo's marching band than anything with ASCWU is what I just
Oh
figured.
yeah, absolutely.
What?
I was struggling to sit through those meetings for student government. I'd fall asleep every time.
It's terrible.
Anytime I fell asleep in band, someone
Hey,
would
well,
just
we know where your naps came from now. Apparently, we know where that
Yeah.
trend started. I got a
That's good.
question. You play rugby. It seems like your whole life, just based off of the research that I've done and talking to you. You play other sports, like you get out there on the golf course at all? You taking hacks? You taking hacks with a club? You know, you ever play any baseball?
He's got a million different things.
You
in
take-
it.
I
Taking
played
hacks
uh
on
I
the
played
baseball field?
I played T-ball for 1 year.
Yeah, he did.
I had probably had like a 1.0 on base on or 0.01 on base percentage. I think I would miss the ball more than I would hit it. I got good feet-eye coordination, not very good hand-eye coordination.
It's T-ball. They put the ball on the tee for you to hit. How did you?
Yeah. Yeah, why do you think I only played 1 year of it? I was also like 4 at the time, so I didn't really give it a chance. I'm very inclined into the contact sports.
Yeah.
Played football,
So you
played
did-
rugby.
So you were here. You were on this one for a little bit. What? How was? Like, did you start with football or did you start with rugby? Which came first?
I started actually in the same year,
Oh, okay.
but I started with football first because the season for football was before rugby season for kids my age. So I started with football, and then I found rugby.
Nice.
What
I
age
didn't
was
find
that?
rugby. My older brother found rugby, and then I found it after him because of him.
What age was that? When did you start doing contact sports?
I started football when I was like 5 or 6, and then started rugby when I was 6.
Yeah, my parents wouldn't allow me to play football until I was like in middle school. And I finally
Mhm.
talked them into letting me play football. So there was probably no chance they were ever going to allow me to play rugby before that, considering you don't get one of those helmets, you know,
True.
cover your head. They probably
It's actually safer in terms
it
of
is
contact.
safer because they teach you how to tackle without using your head.
That hawk tackle maneuver.
The
That's
hawk
what
tackle.
we learned in
Yeah.
middle school.
Little shameless plug. If you want to read a story about why it's safer, look up on the Observer
Oh, yeah.
why rugby is safer than football.
Was there a why rugby is safer than football, or was it the story about why rugby is better than football?
Why rugby? I don't want to say why rugby is better. That's very opinionated, but I
No,
mean,
I'm pretty sure you
to
had an
each- to
opinion
each their
piece.
own.
I'm pretty sure you had an opinion piece on the Observer titled "Why Rugby is Better Than Football."
Yeah. Yes, but that was when I was just a writer.
Okay,
Oh,
okay,
okay,
fair
okay.
enough. Fair enough.
That is fair.
We
You have
won't
to
dive
change
into
a little bit.
I was gonna share my screen again because I had that one pulled up, but I don't want to ruin what we've got going here because I almost completely butchered it last time.
That's good.
So, you know, just kind of as we're winding down here, getting towards this thing, you know, we're in week 4 right now?
Yeah, week
Week
4.
4 of the quarter. Obviously,
Yeah.
Pulse doesn't release their magazine until the end of the quarter. Just how do you see things going from here to the rest of the quarter? Like, do you feel like it's smooth sailing, or is there still things we're gonna have to hurdle? Like, what are you feeling about that?
I mean, there's always going to be hurdles when it comes to student media because it's not like I said. It's talking again about like the English 102 classes. It's you're always going to find sources online that are never going to change. But with student media, you have to schedule interviews with people, and you never know if someone's going to drop out of an interview, if someone's schedule is going to conflict suddenly, because honestly, human life is like everyone's lives can change in a matter of seconds.
Yep.
So there's always that to be kind of concerned about, but I think we have a really good staff this year. We have a lot more designers than we have had in the past, and they're all really good designers that put out really good work. We have a really good writing staff of people that are putting out really good work so far with all the assignments they've turned in, and I'm excited to see how it turns out with my first quarter as the EIC. I think we got a really good group.
That's cool. What would you say is like, do you have like a mission statement or something that you're kind of thinking about as this quarter goes on? Like something you want to live by and an accomplishment that you're like, oh, wow, I'm proud that we lived up to that standard or anything like that?
I think something that so when I've been part of the magazine, I think something that was talked about but sort of lacked was the magazine it's a product of everyone's individual effort, but also everyone collaborating with each other. And I think we've talked about that individual effort, but we haven't really collaborated as much as we should or as we could. So I think my mission as EIC is I want writers to be able to talk more with their editors and meet more with photographers and designers to be part of the visual aspects, and then designers and photographers to be part of that writing aspect a lot more.
That's awesome.
All right, final question, one that I really want to know. How do you think rugby's going? What are you looking for this season? You know, what's the outcome? What's the goal?
I mean, obviously we want that natty, and I think we have a really good group of guys. We didn't lose a lot of guys last year. I think we only lost 4 guys from the team last year. So I'm really excited to see how we do. We have a lot of young guys that are putting in good work, and I think are gonna like do really well for us and put their names into the talk for national teams and put Central into the talk for national contenders.
All right. You know what, Noah? I cannot wait to actually go and watch a rugby game because it has been since my freshman year that I got to watch one in full. And this was the first rugby game I ever went to. So you guys played BYU. And
that was the first one I ever went to too.
Yeah, that was wild. You guys blew them out.
That was a crazy game.
It was actually, and I'm gonna say right now, I think the rugby games are a lot more fun than the football games, and that's
I'll say it. Yeah, I don't have to whisper it. It's more enjoyable for me personally.
That's coming from someone who's a big football fan too.
Yeah,
so you guys got something going there. Yeah. So Noah, thank you so much for coming on the show. You know, is there anything else you'd like to let people know about just you, about Pulse, about anything coming out, things that you're working on, any sneak peeks to look into?
I can't give any sneak peeks, unfortunately, but magazine will come out at the end of the quarter. Everyone make sure to grab themselves a copy of the magazine. Our staff puts in a lot of hard work, and I think it's something that a lot of people are going to enjoy because we're talking about a lot of serious pieces this year.
Yeah. Serious pieces. All right. Something serious is something that doesn't come on this show a lot because, you know, it's 2 idiots behind the microphone. So,
oh man, you're gonna love the outtakes for this one, audience. And,
I appreciate that you guys can hold that in. We're gonna let you go. We're gonna let you deal with your car and maybe go take a nap or 2 while you're at it. You know, I might do the same thing. One thing we learned here is why we carry the ball like this in rugby, not like this. So I'm gonna carry it from this like now on. If we play our flag football game that I just joined Deacon's flag football team, so I need someone to take a picture of me running the ball like this if I ever get the ball. And I'll
plug it for the next thumbnail.
I'll plug it in the episode. I'll send it to you. Maybe even update it. We'll see what happens. Noah, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Good luck on the rest of the magazine and good luck on the upcoming rugby season, man.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good one.
Thanks.